Hey guys, welcome to another video where I'm going to be unboxing and showing you the latest piece of kit I've got for my flight simulator setup. I'm kind of getting to the point now where the vast majority of the functions for most of the aircraft I'm flying most of the time are pretty much covered. The Honeycomb Alpha Yoke and the Bravo throttle, which I covered in an earlier video, they do an excellent job of really covering a lot of the functionality of the early general aviation aircraft you get in Flight Simulator. But one of my goals, especially as I plan like the final stages of what I'm actually going to do here, because I am pretty close to being done, but one of my goals is to not have to touch the keyboard and mouse while I'm in the simulator. So I want to be able to kind of do almost everything from a cold and dark start all the way up to communications without touching the keyboard and mouse. And that's proving to be a little bit tricky within the confines of the controls. I was planning to get a Stream Deck, which is a small device with configurable buttons that's fairly low profile. And I don't know if I got hit with some pretty good targeted marketing, or if it's just because I like to back random crap on Kickstarter. Somehow I got notified about this project back in November of 2025. This was a Kickstarter project and it was called the Magtran M3. And because I'm a little bit of a sucker for the odd Kickstarter, I went ahead and backed this. The expected delivery window of being like March 2026 actually felt like it was going to be a good time based on where I thought I was going to be in terms of build, because I knew I think I'd probably ordered the Honeycomb stuff at this point, even if I hadn't got it fully integrated. So I knew that like I was going to need a few months with that before I was looking to expand, and so I thought this would be perfect. Well, I was quite surprised yesterday, without much fanfare on their part, to receive this on my doorstep. Now, I don't recall them announcing a big rebranding from like the Magtran to the Stream Dock, which seems a bit on the nose, but here we are. So here's what we got in the box. Very nicely packaged. Pop it open. We've got some instructions. There's a foam insert there on the top with a little cutout for the dials. Take that out and we can see the device itself has come wrapped in additional protection, ready to be unpackaged. Not much else going on in the box, just a USB-C cable to hook it up. So far so good, fairly basic. Now when I sat down to actually plug this into my PC, I found the first sort of questionable design decision. I couldn't figure out how to get the damn USB-C cable in. And you can kind of see, as I turn it around here, it's embedded behind this groove at the back of the unit. Good news, with a little brute force and ignorance, because it isn't very well documented, this back panel, like the stand if you will, actually just slides off. So slide that off, thread the USB through the insert there, plug it into the back, slide it back on, and you're good to go. With it connected to the PC, not much happening. Then cranked out the manual, saw that I needed to go online and download a specific application. It's all signed, so it's not one of these applications you go on a website and download and Windows is like trying to do everything it can to stop you installing it. This is a properly certified Windows application, so it installed with ease. And upon opening up the application, we get something like this. We can see that the default here is the Windows control theme, and looking at our connected Stream Dock, we can totally see the display that's actually beautifully animated on the back of the buttons there. The first thing I did was I wanted to create a new theme, so it's fairly easy to do that. We can click on here, we get a new scene. We can go ahead and rename it to like something. So I'm going to call this one PC-12 because this is going to be specifically for the Pilatus PC-12 aircraft. If I want to, I can move this up the list, make it somewhere, move it a bit further up for priority, but you know, that's fine for now. Now, the next thing I'd like to do for each of my panels as I'm creating them is I want to put a custom background on for each of the aircraft. Now, I'm really just kicking the tires on this thing right now. I haven't had a chance to really cut my teeth with it, but I found that if you right click the background, click choose file, you can drag and drop an image. I went in, I dropped a PC-12 into this is DFW Airport, and took a little screenshot of it there. Nothing too fancy. This isn't the kind of thing I'd actually use as a finished product because we've got the tail of an aircraft in the background, and it's not the most well framed shot, but for demonstration purposes, let's run with it. So let's just drag this guy in. And we now can frame our shot. So let's put that there. We're going to cut the wing off, but that's fine. Hit apply, and our aircraft shows up on the background of our display. Now this is purely aesthetic. You could put whatever you wanted there. If you were going for a specific look for a specific panel, then you could change it to match that. But I kind of like the idea as I plan on how I'm going to use this. I like the idea of just having a different screen for each aircraft and then just enabling the appropriate view prior to firing up Flight Sim. In terms of how we map controls, I went ahead and played around with this a bit, and the best way I found to do this is to take a hotkey and assign it to the key in question. Now, you got all kinds of options here. We can further customize the file. I don't have any files prepared, but what we do then is we click to assign a keyboard input to this control. So I'm just going to do Control, Shift, Alt, and the number 1. You want something that isn't already mapped within Flight Simulator, and holding down just about every control key on the left-hand side of the keyboard seems like a good way of doing that. And we can give this a title. I'm going to call this Engine On. Now this does show up. Oops. Now when I'm finished, I'll probably create custom icons and drop these on. But for now, we'll put that there. Because we've got a lighter background here, I'm going to go ahead and change the color of the font and just make it black so that it stands out a bit. Yeah, this isn't ideal right now, but it works. And let's go ahead and take engine off. Let's go ahead and put another hotkey here. Let's call this engine off. And let's go ahead and assign this to Control, Shift, Alt, 2. Okay. So we've now taken 2 of our buttons. Let's go ahead and make the text for engine off black. And we can now, if we jump into the flight simulator, I just picked a random airport from my history. The first thing we're going to need to do before we do anything is map those controls. And what I've done here is I've mapped them in the keyboard. I created a new set of controls just for the PC-12. So if we just search here for engine, It's a lot of hits because that just is. Somewhere down the bottom, here we go. Okay, so engine, auto start engine is what I've mapped here to Control Shift Alt 1. So this maps to the first button. And engine auto stop is what I've mapped to Control Shift Alt 2. Now, purists thinking about a PC-12 startup, let's go and take a look at that. So this is the view looking straight up at the panel that you need for starting the PC-12. Following an approximation of the checklist, you would start off by firing on your batteries, turning on your generators, turning on the avionics. At this point, we'd go back to our system here. We would wait for the initial avionics to fire up. Okay, here we are. And now we would want to start the engine, being able to monitor the gauges. Now, the problem we've got is that in order to do that, go back to this view, you do it by clicking this button here, and then this button here. These, unfortunately, this is one of those funny quirks of Flight Simulator right now where it hasn't surfaced these specific functions as mappable entities. I'm sure there's other workarounds. If anybody knows them, I would love if you would share. But what I've found as just a quick and dirty workaround today is just to assign the auto engine start, which is the command that would actually do all of the rest. But all that it's going to do here is actually start the engine. So let's push engine on our Stream Dock. Oh, and it looks like I've also assigned it to the EFB while that's testing. But either way, the engine has switched on, the starter is on, and if we go back to our view, we can see the engine start spinning up to life and the prop in the front of the aircraft goes, and this is now good. So this would satisfy at least my requirements for a cold and dark start on the PC-12. And likewise, if we've just taxied to a stop, I can hit the engine off button, and everything's going to click off. If we go back up to that view of that upper panel, we can see that the engine is now set to off and everything's off, and then just start clicking off our avionics. So that's a basic introduction to the VSD Inside Stream Dock. I'm really excited. The buttons feel great. I love the flexibility this is going to bring to allowing me to add an extra layer of immersion into simming by taking some of the controls that don't map very organically to the yoke and the throttle quadrant, even though Honeycomb did an awesome job and gave us extra buttons all over the place. This is just going to help cover those edge cases that don't get covered. I love the backgrounds, the ability to configure the backgrounds. I'm really excited to use that and have a different image for each type of aircraft I'm controlling, along with totally different arrays of functions being exposed as I add each as I create a profile for each aircraft that I take on, basically being driven by progress in Neofly at the moment. I am confident that this will give me the flexibility to take everything to the next level. So I will be putting this thing through its paces. I'm going to be looking to get all of the PC-12 configuration I can get done with some quirky custom icons. I'm going to try and I'll probably just mock something up in GIMP, but I'm going to play with some ideas to try and make it a little better looking aesthetically. Disclosure, design isn't one of my fortes, so it's probably going to look a whole lot worse than it already does. But I'll be putting this thing through its paces. I mean, it's going to sit where it is right now until I finalize the next stage of my sims. So I will be back with a full review when I've had a chance to really integrate the rest of the things, the dials, and really put it through its paces. So stay tuned for a full review. This was just the unboxing, but my initial impressions of this, I'm pretty excited. Catch you next time. Thank you. Well, that's a wrap on that one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. And remember, I'm not actually a pilot. I'm just a dumbass with a flight simulator. Catch you on the next one.